Hello everyone, this is Philip Rossmanreich of Talking10.com here to preview, predict, and prognosticate Saturday's game between the Maryland Terrapins and the UCF Knights. DJ Durkin's program seemed like they were still a few years away from getting to the big time. But then came Texas, and even with quarterback Terrell Pigrome going down with an injury, the Terrapins offense came alive and became a juggernaut through the non-conference season. With help from special teams and their defense, of course, the Terrapins averaged 57 points per game, 315 rushing yards per game. This has become a dynamic offense with multifaceted, talented quarterbacks who can pass and run, as well as a strong running back and wide receiver to boot. This is a dynamic, dangerous offense. Even with Pigrome out, he's out for the year after getting injured in the Texas game, freshman Kasim Hill stepped in and has completed 16 of 19 passes for 217 yards and 10 rushes for 59 yards for the Terrapins. The Terrapins will be looking to get him going, as they will Ty Johnson and his 256 yards on just 17 carries. And all of a sudden, Maryland looks like a strong offensive team that can compete with just about anyone. They just have one more test to get past. And that would come from the UCF Knights and their visit Saturday to Capital One Field. But the Knights have not played in 2 weeks. Thanks to Hurricane Irma, their Week 2 game against Memphis, as well as their Week 3 game against Georgia Tech, were both canceled. They've been sitting on the sidelines waiting for this opportunity. So, my one burning question for Maryland this week is, can they pass the ball? The biggest question facing the Terrapins to me and their dynamic offense remains their passing game. While Maryland tore it up against Texas and Towson on the ground, and they have this athletic defense that has done really, really well, Maryland still has a surprisingly few number of passing yards this year. Pigrome had 175 yards on 12 attempts before leaving the Texas game with an injury. He looked fantastic in that game. It was a big reason why Maryland took the lead early on. Hill, though, Kasim Hill, is averaging just 103 passing yards per game, and he threw for only 163 yards and 2 touchdowns against Towson. Now, maybe he didn't need to do very much against Towson. This is a much more game UCF team. A UCF team, as I mentioned before, returning American Conference Defensive Player of the Year Shaquem Griffin. Don't let the fact that he doesn't have a left hand fool you. That guy can wrap up and tackle, and yes, he can get some interceptions. Overall, though, this is a defensive unit that can create some pressure and stop the run. The Terrapins will have to find some balance, or else the Knights' talented linebackers and safeties will be able to load the box. With Big Ten season coming up, Maryland needs to get some confidence in Kasim Hill. He may not carry the heavy offensive load. This is still a run-based attack. But the game Saturday should give the Terrapins a fair test to see how much Hill can handle, especially coming off the bye week. So 2 key stats to look at for this game. The Terrapins may not have the greatest passing attack through the first 2 games, but wide receiver DJ Moore has certainly taken advantage of what they've done so far. He has become the go-to receiver. The junior wide receiver has 115 yards per game receiving so far. He's caught 14 of Maryland's 26 completed passes and 3 of the team's 4 touchdowns. To be sure, UCF will be focused on shutting him out in the pass game just as much as they're focused on shutting down the run game for Maryland. As it is often with freshman quarterbacks, Hill is going to be focused on getting comfortable as a starter, and that's going to mean he's going to target his favorite receiver. On the other side, there's not much tape on UCF because of their 2 games getting canceled with Hurricane Irma. They only have the 1 game under their belt. But what they did show in that lone game against FIU was a penchant for forcing turnovers. UCF forced 4 turnovers against FIU, including 3 fumbles, recovering all 3. The Knights' defense is fast and opportunistic. Eric Chinander had his team playing at a very high level last year, and they seem to still be getting their feet under them, but should be at a high level again come American Conference season. This is one of the favorites to win the American Conference this year, right behind USF, honestly. Defense was a strong point for this team last year, and they'll again be looking to create turnovers, and they'll need those turnovers to win this game against this dynamic and difficult offense from Maryland. So outside of that, who else should you be looking for with our 3 key players in Saturday's game? I've talked a lot about the offense so far on this podcast for Maryland, but the Terrapins have shown themselves to be a hard-hitting, fast defense too. Maryland linebacker Jermaine Carter Jr. leads the charge with 15 tackles and 2.5 sacks through 2 games. He's gone after the quarterback from linebacker and has helped change the game, just as the defense did against Texas. Maryland probably isn't going to need all those big plays on defense, or at least the scoring plays that they got on special teams and defense like they did against Texas. But what they will need is a defense that can get stops and get UCF out of rhythm. As I noted before, UCF coach Scott Frost is a disciple of the speed-up Oregon offense. He's a Chip Kelly disciple. And so everything for the Knights begins and ends with quarterback Mackenzie Milton. The sophomore quarterback passed for 360 yards and 4 touchdowns against FIU. It was a big step up after he showed flashes as a freshman, as the UCF offense tended to struggle a little bit his freshman year. In that Week 1 game, UCF looked like they had this offense much further down. That means it's a fast-paced offense. They're going to get to the line quickly. They're going to get as many plays in as they can. And that means they've got to be in a rhythm. That's why there's a big concern coming off this 2-week layoff that UCF will have that rhythm. They'll have plenty of practice, or actually they won't because they were at home for the hurricane for most of it. But they've got to find their rhythm quickly, and that all leads to the quarterback. And I'd be remiss, of course, if I did not mention Ty Johnson, Maryland's running back. Things for Maryland on offense begin and end with Ty Johnson. He's going to help control the pace of this game, keep the Knights offense off the field, give that defense plenty of rest. Johnson has delivered so far with 250-plus yards on the ground in 2 games. If he can crack the Knights' tough defensive line and have another big day, it could be another big scoring game for Maryland. And I do like Maryland in this game. The layoff for UCF is just a little too long for my liking. They've still got a lot of questions on their offensive line, as well as with their defense, which tends to bend but not break. And Maryland is playing with so much confidence right now. They have dynamic playmakers who can make big plays on both ends of the field. And so I like Maryland in this game, 38-24 over UCF as they improve to 3-0 and get ready for Big Ten play. Kickoff between Maryland and UCF is at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Central on Fox Sports 1. For Talking 10, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. Be sure to check out my writing over at Talking Northwestern. That's northwestern.talking10.com for Northwestern coverage. And follow me on Twitter at RiseNU.